Hi, and welcome to FrazlCast. Climb aboard the Gnome Train.
Woo! Chugga, 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 woo!
Please make sure to keep your limbs and experimental instruments inside the train at all times. And now, on with the show.
A podcast by a Blizzard fan gnome about World of Warcraft and geeky stuff. I promise you, they do talk about the World of Warcraft. They just go off the rails sometimes.
I'm Frazley, and I am joined by Berzerker of Unshackled Fury.
I'm very happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. I've been excited. Like, I had you back on in October of 18. We weren't live, so we didn't have a roaring chat room like we do tonight. It was just the roaring fire. No, wait, that was Christmas, because that was the year of Kaplan's famous fireplace, but we weren't sitting by that during that episode.
Yeah, I love that he does that.
Oh, I know.
You can say what you want about Blizzard, and people do, but there are few people as in touch with the community as one Papa Jeff.
Oh,
he's giving the people what they want.
If you want to see like rage, because you know rage. I remember being at BlizzCon and Jeff's talking about the leaks for Overwatch.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You could tell at his core, the leaks were like, he wanted to really announce this stuff, and it hurt him so much to have the leaks. And I felt so bad for him at the time. I was like, oh.
Oh, yeah. Well, imagine that you work in a cave, and nobody can see what you're Tony Stark building the Mark I of the Iron Man suit.
Yeah.
Instead of doing it to break out of basically a terrible prison, you're doing it to show to the world and impress people, and you can't talk about it. You can't say anything about it. And all of a sudden someone smuggles out a video of it. You'd be pretty mad.
Yeah.
I mean, it folks slave long and hard to get this stuff together and to have it outed to the world by, folks. I could imagine being on that end and being very frustrated.
Oh,
very
yeah.
upset. I would be too.
Oh, I'm not good at keeping secrets, so for me, that's why I never keep secrets.
Yeah, it's an acquired skill.
Yeah. And this episode won't be a secret, because on this episode, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do tonight. So I'm going to do a creativity check-in with good old Berzerker, with you.
Do it. Yeah.
And then I want to talk about some rage that we saw recently in the community, just because I figured you bring the rage.
Ghost.
And I figured, hey, why not talk with the expert on rage? We're going to do that and more. But before we get into that, though, there's somebody in our community who I always love asking, what time is it?
It's time to go around the table.
Great idea, Epicinsanity. So what have you been up to recently?
Well, I have been living the best of my white-collar dreams, working yield 9 to 5, paying the bills, and then somehow finding a way to play some WoW and do some Warcraft 3 and watch a fantastic documentary about the Power Glove by the name of The Power of Glove.
Oh, I love it. Oh.
If you are a child of the 80s and or early 90s, or you really just enjoy relic tech, it is a phenomenal deep dive into the life and death of one of the most overhyped but so beloved pieces of gaming equipment in history. So,
I mean, the wizard, the glove was in the wizard, and
so bad.
Yeah. But it looks so cool in that movie.
I remember watching that in the theater. Number one, it blew your mind because it's the Power Glove. You're like, oh, shit, it's the Power Glove. It's on the movie. Oh, my God, this is amazing. And then you saw the release of, or at least the sort of official announcement of Super Mario Brothers 3, which was also like, oh, my God, this is amazing. Like,
yeah.
Looking at, it was. But going into I think that this documentary was actually born out of a Kickstarter. And it's up on, I think it's Netflix. I think it's Netflix or Amazon, one of the two. And it goes into how they developed it, where the tech came from, the relationship between Nintendo and Mattel and all these other outfits, and how it came to be and how they almost blew it. And then they got it out and they still kind of blew it anyway. But now it's had this whole resurgence and afterlife. And yeah, if you're one of our people, I recommend checking it out.
Oh, I'm definitely going to check that out, because
it was pretty rad.
And I never had one because I was a child of the 90s, so I knew it was bad when I was growing up, but I always thought it was cool, so I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So yeah, after Raid last week, I think I fired that up, and it was great. But just living the best life out here that I can. But how about yourself, sir? How have things been for you? What have you been up to?
Well, I finished The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel season 3.
That's a great show, great cliffhanger.
Oh, yes. And as well as I finished The Office, my first time ever going through the entire series. It dropped, in my opinion, after Steve Carell left. And I mean, it makes sense. He was kind of one of the ringleaders.
Yeah.
It didn't do well. I was impressed.
It has not aged particularly well.
No. Oh, I think the funniest one, though, is Woofer. That was amazing.
Yeah, I think Michael Scott would have been fired after 3 minutes with modern HR.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's. Ooh.
And I would have been fired if I ever got a job singing, because I've been doing some more Twitch sings. I sing my heart out. I'm not a great singer, but I sing my heart out. I'm going to be singing again with the Scruffy Druid and Mr. Scruffy on Monday, and I enjoy doing it. I just know, like, I sang karaoke back in December in front of a group like 3 or 4 times. I did it knowing that I'm not going to be as good as other people out there, but I had a blast.
It doesn't matter. That's not what it's about at all. Singing is not so much about like how you sound or if you actually get the words right. It's all about the emotion.
Yeah.
It's all about connecting with, am I supposed to be feeling like something deep about a lost love, or am I soaring high because I've just triumphed in some epic battle with a dragon, or, am I out looking for my lost cake in the rain? I mean, it can be any number of things, right? But you got to feel that deep emotional connection. That's what people really want.
I still want that cake by the ocean. Oh, that sounds so good.
How many artists have you listened to? And I still don't know the words to half these songs. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
I just know how it makes me feel.
Yeah. And yeah, Allie's saying lost cake in the rain. Whoever will leave your cake in the rain?
Yeah, it's someone left the cake out in the rain.
Oh.
Terrible. It's one of the greatest mysteries in all of music.
Yeah. And you know what's also another mystery? How are Vulpyras so cute?
Well, my guess is because Blizzard keeps some kind of exploratory animal cage in the back, and they just kind of do some gene splicing. All this Google AI stuff, this isn't about StarCraft. This is about trying to create new allied races and pets and other super cute things. And now that Baby Yoda has been unleashed onto the world, they're going to find a way to try to work that in now. And there'll be some kind of Baby Yoda race that, some offshoot of the orcs. And we'll never be the same, because that's what everyone's going to be. Total faction imbalance. It'll be awful. Or it could be great. I don't know. One of the two.
Oh, you're killing me. I would totally change whatever the Baby Yoda race is. That would be my new race. I mean,
I'd grind the shit out of that rep.
I would make my main and forget gnome.live. It would be whatever that race is .live. That would be mine.
I'll be with you. Well, the same thing. Do the magic hand thing. That'll be your racial ability.
Yeah.
And that could take on a bunch of different terms, but that's another story.
And with the Vulpyra, I've rolled a Vulpyra shaman named Ranzu, got them up to level 27. So after I get my Mechanome mage to up to 110 or 120, I'm going to rework on the Vulpyra some more. I'm kind of figuring before Shadowlands, I got a couple alts I want to work on, but I'm not going alt crazy, because there's other things I got to work on in WoW, and even outside of WoW.
Yeah, I'm holding off on all alt leveling until Shadowlands. Not that I ever did it anyway, but I'm definitely holding off until Shadowlands, because if there's any hope.
I want to. But the Mechanomes and Vulpyra are just so cute. Like when you're walking around in the Vulpyra, you see their tail wagging. It is just adorable. And Scruffy, goblins are cute, except Gallywix. His stomach. He needs to wear a shirt. It'd be like if I walked around without a shirt. That would just ugh.
No, goblins are awful. They can get thrown back in the volcano and tossed out the game. That's fine. We don't.
I got a couple of goblin listeners who would be mortified to hear that.
Nah, don't eat them. Don't eat them. Good, not good for anything. Just throw them out. Goodbye.
Oh, one person I don't ever want to throw out. And if you have a podcast app, you better never throw them out of your podcast app. And that is Unshackled Fury.
Hey, that's my show.
Yeah. So we last talked with you back on episode 72. I was kind of talking with you, Ben, about the show, about how you started.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to kind of do a creativity update.
All right.
And kind of say, how was the last year for you, Ben?
I think the last year has been, as far as the podcast goes, I think it's been a pretty good last 12 months or so. For Nav and I, we've seen a pretty steady increase in listenership. We're about doubled year over year in terms of our numbers, because I do take a look at our metrics. I think we've managed to stay pretty consistent with getting stuff out, which I think is a fairly routine challenge for everyone.
Oh, yeah.
We've had a couple more people on the show, like yourself. You came on and
that was
did a
fun.
guest spot. Yeah, we really appreciated that. That's, I think, the second or third highest performing episode we had all year.
Nice.
So you definitely bring some heat when you're coming on, so that's good. But yeah, we I think we've really tried to commit to having some more regular presence out there as we try to grow the show. We got some art, some art done by the fabulous Copperbolt, and you can see that on all our social media and our stuff. And I think that really helped kind of cement a lot of what we're doing, and it kind of helps feed into what we want to do next. I need to get like a website going, and I need to get some other things up and running, and it's just kind of piece by piece we're building this. I think we're following kind of your footsteps, and I don't know that my empire dreams are quite as big as what you've established. I don't know there'll be a lot of Unshackled Fury merch out there, but bit by bit we're just trying to grow this thing and try to increase our reach, because at the end of the day, really that's what all of this is about, is just connecting with the community and kind of getting our piece out there and having feedback with folks. And that's something that we've been able to continue to grow and do more regularly. So the last year in that respect has been pretty good.
And I love when you talk about connection, because that's why we do this stuff. It's to connect with people. Thursday nights for me, I get to talk to people that I don't always get to sit down with. And I love that.
I think you have one of the best spirits of all of us that are out here doing any of these crazy things, because I think you do a really good job of bringing people together and actually going out and pulling disparate parts of the community together. And I think all of us are very well served by, I don't know, by not necessarily by having me on here, but by doing what you do and having a lot of other people on here. And so, watching your growth has been is pretty awesome.
Wow. Thank you, Berzerker. Wow. I'm speechless, because I'm glad to hear that that you see it working, because that's my goal with this show is I want the voices in the community that aren't out there, the voices that may not be talking. The coolest thing I love is either a listener finds a podcast. One listener told me, I'm no longer listening to your show because I'm listening to one of your guest shows. I was like, I love that, because at least they found what they wanted to listen to. It made me feel like it grows the podcast community. And I love that.
And it kind of goes to what you talked about earlier with respect to knowing who you are and what you're about and those kinds of things. Like, for instance, you'll listen to our show, you won't very often hear some deep dive into the particulars of the math involved with Warcraft and how often a spell occurs or how much damage it does or the percentage of this, that, I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. I frankly, I'm not smart enough to know anything about it, so I don't really care. So you'll never hear about that. But, you'll go on other places. I think the Starting Zone might be one, or some other folks where, they're diving into that. And if that's your jam, well, then that's the place you can go for that. For us, I think it's a little different. I think, I know at one time, Ro kind of described sort of the first generation of our show as kind of like the shock jock, Howard Stern type vibe, and to an extent it is kind of like that. We talk about anything and everything, and we do bring a certain amount of energy that maybe some other folks don't have, and that's not for everyone. I mean, it's not. We don't sugarcoat over certain things, and then other things we might agree with stuff that generally there's a lot of upset people in the community about. But that's who we are, and that's what we bring, and I hope that people come along for that, and that's really important. And again, going back to you, I think that you bring this energy and this community driven focus that really is important. And there's folks out there, and I don't mean to disparage anyone in particular, but I feel that there is a certain amount of lip service that is paid, and I've said this before, about community, and we're part of the community, man. You are the community, man. Like, you're really driving it together, and I think you do a great job, and I'm thankful you're out there doing it.
The community the past couple of years has helped me not feel lonely. I was feeling in a down place. Then I started getting into the podcasting and streaming. I have not felt lonely in a long time. I mean, sure, I've got my down days, but all of you have made me feel so connected. And if I can make any of you feel better for one day, if someone comes into chat, they're having a bad day, and I can give them a smile, or I can make them laugh, that to me makes it all worth it.
It's very powerful. it seems kind of abstract at certain points because it's like I'm sitting here and I'm looking at my monitor and I've got my computer and all my shit on my desk and I'm just kind of looking here and it's like it's quiet in my room. And so I feel like I'm just kind of here like talking to you, but I also know there's all these people in this chat room here and there's other people that are going to listen to this thing later. And it's kind of a weird thing. And then once you realize, man, there may be somebody listening to this that picks up on something or they find something meaningful, out of something that's said somewhere. That can have a huge impact on folks. And even just having like that little bit of something out there out in the world that's good or helpful or having an impact. I mean, it is rewarding in its own kind of way. And speaking as somebody who's been through a lot of therapy in my life, I really appreciate folks that are open to that and to putting that kind of, pick me up spot in the world. Cause we all have our down moments. We all have our moments where we're like, man, I am slumming it. And then out of nowhere, you'll hear something or somebody will talk to you or you'll get a message from somebody or something will be happening just on what you're doing. And it's just that little bump, that little energy that you need. You're like, man, I needed that just to get through like the end of this day or to get through this project or to get through this whatever. And yeah, that's fantastic.
And speaking of like those days that are challenging, you mentioned how the positive word from somebody will help lift you up that one day. What has been some challenges that you've had to overcome, either personally or with the show?
Well, I think it's kind of parcel of the same thing. And it touches on something I mentioned earlier, which is that trying to be regular about getting the show out, just kind of starting with that base statement is, when we had Ro on our show last year, I think it was early last year. And, and after after we'd stopped recording and everything, and I asked him and I said, hey, do you have any advice for us? Because listen, we're a smaller show, we're not out there. We're not the Taliesin and Evatels of the world. Right. So, how do we kind of help ourselves? And the big thing that he mentioned was be regular about getting shows out. And so that's something that Navox and I have really focused on is, every couple of weeks. If I could do it every week, that'd be great. But my schedule just doesn't allow for that. So every other week, that's what we've tried to do is to be regular about that. Well, then, life still happens. So whether it's because you're having work issues, which do pop up, whether you're having health issues, which do pop up, whether you're having other personal issues, they do pop up. And so all of that gets, in the way, so to speak, of the plans that you have to do this or to do that. And it's trying to push through that or to really nail down your schedule and say, okay, here are the times that I've got to do this. I've got to set aside time to build an agenda. I've got to set aside a time to do this and to edit and to do all these things. And in a way, that kind of focus not only helps get me through just what I need to do with the show, but also kind of helps refocus what's really important about what I'm doing. Like, are these some of these things I need to worry about, or can I let some of this stuff go and focus on this other good stuff, right? So I would say, just trying to find a way to continue to keep up with the promises I've made sort of to myself while everything else is going on.
Yeah. You feel like life wants to like grab onto like, I need to get this out today. And it's like, nah, I'm going to give you all this stuff to do.
It is like that. I think as anyone who's in a relationship, has kids, has responsibilities, has a job, you already have a full plate. And then you're like, what I'm going to do for fun? I'm going to come up with this other project that's going to require that I put a whole lot of time into this one activity and then go and put something together about that and then put it out and then promote it and then start that cycle and do that all over again. So, yeah, it does at times feel like, oh, man, I need that clone from, Multiplicity or whatever it is, call up Batman and get me another body. But, it can be that way. But that's, that's life. And it's part of trying to figure out, what do I really need to care about? Yeah.
I've looked at other podcasters or YouTubers and they have their editors. And I'm always thinking, I wish I had the extra money. There are days I wish I had the extra money to pay an editor. But then I realized the issue, though, then I wouldn't be able to improve myself if I was editing. And I find I can really craft what I'm looking for and I can learn how to be better. But yeah, there are like some weekends I'm stressed to get the show out there because I find consistency. I've got people that cannot wait for that next episode of something. I know that with a lot of podcasts. I've got podcasts I listen to that I love when I can count on that day it's going to be out there. You don't have to be out there at midnight. That everybody has things come up, but it's always trying to be that day. Like I've only had one day I've had on this show that I've missed the early morning on it, and
it's all right, man. I mean, you're mostly human. I mean, you're Gnome. It's close enough. So
yeah.
You're working on it.
Oh yeah, always working on the stuff and always trying to be a construction project. I say that we're all construction projects. In the same way that I bet the Berzerker of Fury is a construction project.
Yeah.
What are some new things that you want to challenge yourself with going forward with the show?
Actually find time to put together the projects that we come up with for ourselves, because Nav's always got great ideas for stuff, and I might have a few of my own out there every once in a while. But in order to execute these ideas that we have for bits and other things, it requires time to go out, record the things we need to record, editing time to put the stuff together. There's one that Nav mentioned to me not that long ago, and I haven't told him this, so if he's listening to this, he might be surprised. There was something that he told me about, hey, we should do this thing. And I was like, man, that's a really good idea. And it just keeps kind of rolling around in my brain. And I'm like, God, but I'd have to record this, and I got to find this, and I got to do this, and I got to do these things. And I keep thinking about it. And so it's stuff like that. And it's making those ideas come to life, because I committed to this last year and I really fell off. You know, it's like when we did the Real Men of Warcraft bit. Like, I do have like 12 of these things written up, and I had planned on doing one every month last year. And I just didn't do any other than the first one. There's other song parodies. There's other bit ideas that we have. There's all this stuff that we talk about all the time, but it's getting it down and doing the thing. That's where it all kind of falls apart. So again, it's trying to find that time in the schedule. You know, having more guests on. I think that for myself, our show is not a guest-driven show. We're not a third seat-driven show. And so I don't necessarily feel compelled to have people on unless I feel there's a really good reason to have people on. So, you know, we've had Ro on, you know, because I think that he had put us over, and I felt that, you know, he was a good guy to talk to, and it'd be, you know, right for us to bring him on. Same as yourself. You know, you've been a friend to us, so, you know, it's great talking to you, and it just seemed like the right time to have a conversation on our show. You know, whether it was Kane, who did our intro theme, or Copper, who did our art, trying to stay focused on something as opposed to just this sort of incestuous cycle of, you know, everybody just switching chairs and what show am I listening to today? I don't know, but it's the same kind of 5 people.
Yeah.
If that's your jam, cool, that's you. But for me, it's trying to find those good guests. And so I think as time goes on, I'm hoping to get people that listeners are interested in, because at the end of the day, I could talk to anyone. I could talk to myself, and I usually do, but it'd be good to have more guests on that people would like to hear from. So we've got a couple we're talking about, see if we can get some folks on. So things like that, actually doing the bits that we have ideas for, you know, it's those kinds of things. Those are the kinds of challenges that we're trying to really push ourselves on and make it happen.
And speaking of song, before we go on to our next bit, can you sing me the line to Never Ending Story?
The never ending story. Da, 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 da.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I love it. Your voice is amazing. Oh, thank you.
Turn around. Look at what you see in her face. The mirror of your dreams. Is that good? Is that good?
Oh, that was perfect. That was perfect. Oh, is anybody wondering? Berzerker were saying this on Unshackled Fury, and that was my comment. I was like, yes, you sang the song.
You know, I had a feeling you might ask.
Okay, good. I like trying to give people what they want. And the same way that Blizzard tries to give people what they want. And sometimes it doesn't always turn around the way that they would hope.
Yeah.
Warcraft 3.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Blizzard has a response, and I feel let's read this response first. Hey, Warcraft 3 players. We've been following the discussion the past couple of days and want to thank you for your feedback as well as your support. First off, we want to say that we're sorry to those of you who didn't have the experience you wanted. We'd like to share our plans for what's coming next. There were a few hours during launch day where we experienced server load issues that impacted players' ability to jump right in, but we are able to resolve those later in the day. Separate from that, we've seen community feedback about different aspects of Reforged that we want to take some time to address. Before we go on, the team is excited that Warcraft 3 Reforged is finally upon us, and we're fully committed to supporting the game for a long time to come. The next few patches and updates we'll discuss below are just a part of our ongoing plans. This game is an integral part of the Blizzard DNA, with the team that loves Warcraft 3 looking forward to pouring our hearts into Reforged and the Warcraft 3 community for the long term. One of the concerns with Reforged that we've seen are the visuals when selecting Classic mode. We've identified the bug causing the colors and shading to look different from the original Warcraft 3, and we're testing a fix that would be incorporated in a larger patch addressing this issue and others. We expect to release this later this week. The patch will also address many other known issues, such as fixing some portrait animations and audio bugs, and putting some UI fixes and more. Please keep an eye out for the patch notes for a detailed list of all the bug fixes. Another area of concern we're seeing is regarding online features such as leaderboards and clans, which apply to all Warcraft 3 players, including those who haven't purchased Reforged. At BlizzCon, we talked a lot about how the team is actively working on standing up the back end to ensure a smooth transition to this next MMR system, which, like we did with StarCraft Remastered. As with Remastered, these and other features will be included in a major patch for Reforged, which will also address the issues for players of the original game. We'll share release plans as work progresses in the coming weeks, and please be assured that the team is hard at work on standing these features up. And there are some individual concerns we've seen that we're not currently planning to address, and we wanted to give the community a heads up. As of version 1.30 of the original game, we saw very low usage of tournaments and of the Reign of Chaos rule set, so we removed those both in mid-2019 and version 1.31. Eliminating the maintenance for unused elements has helped us streamline our overall support of the game and focus on areas impacting the most players. That said, we do anticipate that players who prefer Reign of Chaos will find custom games with similar rule sets, which we hope will also satisfy that concern. And related to that, as we talked about last year at BlizzCon, we did not want the in-game cutscenes to steer too far from the original game. We went a little deeper into the thought process behind that at the show, but the main takeaway is that the campaigns tell one of the classic stories in Warcraft history, and we want to preserve the true spirit of Warcraft 3 and allow players to relive these unforgettable moments as they were, albeit rebuilt with new animations in the higher fidelity art. We know this update doesn't address all questions, but we're committed to the development and support of this game, and we hope you'll keep an eye out for this week's patch and future updates, and let us know what you think as we continue fine-tuning things. Until then, thank you as always for your support and passion for Warcraft 3. We appreciate all your feedback and will continue to keep the Warcraft 3 community updated on everything we're working on. Sincerely, the Warcraft 3 Reforged team. And one thing I forgot to add to this, they are giving refunds for people no matter how long you played. But I figured that letter, it may not answer people's questions. The formal response was what you'd expect.
Yeah.
Both good and bad. I wanted to kind of go over what our honest responses to the game and to the news are and what we've heard.
Yeah, I think that their response is pretty much what we expected. There's some things we can do. There's some things that not that necessarily that we can't do, but we're not going to do. And it is about managing expectation, which I think has been one of the biggest issues that this game has faced. Is some expectations I think were unreasonable to begin with. I think some were reasonable and not met. It's a mixed bag, and that's the thing, is I think we are naturally inclined to point a finger at one thing and say, this is the thing, this is what's wrong. You know, I bear no responsibility on this. This is all this, one conglomerate's issue. It is a bit of a mixed bag, not having the cinematics. They told us there weren't going to be any cinematics. The fact that we got one, I thought was a pretty good thing. I haven't even watched it yet because I'm playing through the campaign because I want to wait to see it when it actually happens. Should they have made a bigger deal out of it? I don't know. They told us there are not going to be updated cinematics. They made them higher fidelity or whatever it was. Cool. The other stuff that people are complaining about, that I think that there's some legitimate issues with either the multiplayer or the modding and those kinds of things. I don't do any of that. So that doesn't affect me. All I really cared about was getting the game with all the chapters in it, with all of the updated characters and landscapes and all that stuff. And I got what I wanted. I've been having a great time. It's been a hell of a lot of fun. I've had my son watching over my shoulder going, ooh, what's that? I'm like, oh, that's Thrall. Oh, what's going on there? Oh, that's Jaina. Oh, what's going on over there? Oh, that's Arthas. He's a Death Knight now. He's not quite the Lich King, but he's going to be the Lich King. I'm having a good time doing all that stuff. But part of it is that we do a very good job of riding all of that hysteria and just whipping ourselves into a frenzy like, oh, everything's bad. The world's on fire. I mean, the world is on fire, and there's plenty of bad things happening. Warcraft 3, not necessarily living up to expectations. Yeah, again, on the scale of things, you got to learn how to let some of this stuff go. They're going to try to patch what they can. They're going to fix some stuff, and we move on. Should it have been $40? I don't know if it should have been $40, but I paid it. And I got my wheat wagon, and I'm riding around in it in World of Warcraft. Then I got the other stuff, and I'm having a good time. I mean, I think it's fair to have legitimate complaints and to voice those complaints and to try to have a constructive conversation about them. But threatening to call your attorney over Warcraft 3, like, get a grip.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, even on the forums, some of them I think were clout chasers. People like, I'm going to be as angry as I can. That way people will be like, that random person there is so angry at Blizzard.
So angry.
I know. He's so angry.
He's so angry on Reddit. He's going to change the world.
I know.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I'm not trying to say like that the people's opinions aren't valid, because they are. And I mean, in the beginning, I've heard the reports that there weren't refunds. And I'm glad that they turned around. And I mean, I do recall, and I've seen screenshots. Now, this is a screenshot I saw, so I don't know if they were photoshopped. But when I originally bought it, I thought it did talk more about change of the game. So maybe they changed their design halfway through. I never played the original Warcraft 3. So to me, $30 for this is great. But somebody who's already played it and actually bought it back when it was new, I could see $30 not being a worthwhile spend for something you've already played through.
Absolutely. You know, as is being pointed out in the comments, it was late. It was already late. They told us it was going to come out in 2019. So there was stuff going on in development that didn't pan out the way they wanted to, or the schedule had to change. And it seems like what may have happened was we're going to be late, but we've got enough to get it out, to get it into people's hands, and we can figure it out from there.
Yeah.
So at least people have it. They're getting their hands on it, and we can continue to patch it and improve it and do all these things. And I guess that's part of what I don't understand about people getting all crazy about this, is that this isn't like the old days when if I bought Legend of Zelda in my shiny golden Nintendo case, that's the way the game was. However I got it, whatever condition it was in, that was it. There's no patching, there's no updating, there's no plugging in a thumb drive. There's none of that.
Yeah.
But with this, they're all subject to change. They're all going to have some kind of patch. There's always going to be some kind of performance update or adding something or changing something or whatever. It's a perpetual state of motion for these games, and that's not likely to change anytime soon. Now, if it was horrid, totally broken, nobody could play it, the port was all wrong, just a complete batshit crazy situation, I can understand them putting it out, asking for $40 and saying, we're just going to give it to you, whatever crap condition it's in. I can understand people getting upset if it was that bad. It's not that bad.
In chat, they talk about pre-orders. And ever since The Walking Dead Survival Instinct came out, I don't pre-order games unless I absolutely am okay with how it comes out. Because Fallout 76, I know that's going to raise a lot of heckles too. But I did not feel right pre-ordering it. I just had this feeling. At least when I understand, it panned out and it was right. I try not to pre-order games unless I absolutely want it. And I was okay with the fact that this game came out the way it did. There's an issue with custom maps, that some maps are unfortunately having some bad content in it. But I've heard that they are working on trying to find ways to fix that, and that they're trying to make that better. I like what you said, that it's not going to be finished when it's out. And I think they were hoping it was going to be farther along than it is. But they're not stopping it here, and they are working on it. Yeah.
For me, I think the biggest letdown for me was, or they didn't really update the in-game cutscenes like I think we were all led to believe, right? The Stratholme, the Culling of Stratholme example is the one that we have. And that would have been amazing. That would have been freaking awesome. Along with if they had updated all the cinematics. That was the first thing I thought of originally when they announced this was, oh my God, we're going to get Shadowlands quality cinematics. This is going to be the most badass thing ever. And then they said, okay, well, we're not doing that. Oh, well, it's kind of a letdown, but okay. They're going to do these other in-game cutscenes, and that didn't pan out. Well, that's not great, but I understand it in the sense, if it's true, that they're trying to hold true to the original game, which is a game that is like 15 years old or however long it is now. I can look past that to a certain degree because I'm not in it for that. I'm in it to play through the story. I'm in it to see it updated and actually look decent to my eyes. You take a risk pre-ordering games, and we've seen in recent years a lot of games that have not lived up to the hype, and people being very frustrated and upset with, I pre-ordered this game and either it's late or it's not coming or it's not what I wanted or not what I expected. And you do take a risk doing that. I pre-ordered Cyberpunk expecting it to come out here in a couple months, and it's not going to come out until September. The difference now, I think, is that a lot of people's eyes have been opened up to the reality of what working in the gaming industry is like.
Yeah.
And I think crunch time is a term that just about everybody knows now, whether you're in the industry or not. And I think that we are all a lot more forgiving if you need more time to get it right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that perhaps the industry can come around to, hopefully in the near future, is we as a player base are more understanding than that. And if you give us something that is, pretty sterling right out of the chute, we'll come in droves to come get it. Now, perhaps there is a shareholder interest here that is driving this, as a lot of people have complained about with Activision Blizzard. That is possible. In fact, it is probably likely in some instances that is a driver in some of these cases. But, as we go forward, I'm hoping that we can give them the latitude and they will take it to eliminate as many of these opportunities as possible.
Yeah. I've got a friend who I had to mute his DMs to me for a day. You probably know who you are, and I'm sorry, but you kept telling me, Blizzard lied. I'm like, okay. I get you're upset. I can't deal with it right now. I mean, it just.
Yeah, and I think that when people do that, and I'm just guessing here, I'm not in this person's brain or anyone else other than my own crazy one, is that, think about what is Blizzard. Blizzard is not some faceless megalith out there in the desert, right? It's a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are people that are in it for, maybe less than egalitarian reasons. But for the most part, I think a lot of people that work on this stuff are doing it because they're trying to do the best job that they can with the time that they've been given to give us something that we'll enjoy.
Yeah.
Yes, there are going to be people that are driven by profit and greed. But that's not the majority. They're not the ones making the game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other people involved. And I think that's part of why when we ride this hysteria train, we kind of lose sight of the fact that there's a lot of people involved in this that are doing their damnedest to give us something good.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Not the greedy corporate shareholder people, of which I do own a little bit of Blizzard stock. I own 2 shares. Thinking about the people that are there, I'll give them the chance to make it right.
And as Pete's saying, it's like a normal job. You take flack from customers for decisions higher ups make outside of your control. And yeah, game direction and creation. And because, yeah, I'm with you. I was led to believe that we're going to get updated stuff. And then maybe that was a marketing faux pas that they did. If they had just said, hey, we're putting this game out, here you go, 30 to 40. But then people would be like, why are you doing 30? Yeah.
You can't win.
You can't win.
Yeah, the days of Blizzard being some small, independently run organization, that ship sailed before Wrath of the Lich King. I mean, it way a long time ago, and maybe people are just catching up to this now. I don't know, but they have had a different focus for a long time, I guess, if that's the way you want to look at it. But I still think that the people that are in it day to day, they're in it with the best. I hate to say the best of intentions, but they're in it because they're trying to create something that we all collectively are going to enjoy, and not to make a profit, but because they want to make something that people really like and to be part of a legacy of doing that.
At BlizzCon, I met Blizzard employees who were amazing people, and I could tell that they love doing it. And on Twitter, I follow Blizzard employees who are doing it because they love it. I mean, it's a job, but they're doing it because they're enjoying creating. I mean,
and it's a hard job.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being hunched over my computer 12 hours a day, working all this crunch time, doing all this stuff, and then, God forbid, I open up social media, and it's, you guys suck, and you lied, and you're trying to pull the wool over our eyes, and fuck you, Blizzard, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, I'd quit and go work at Subway.
Yeah.
Get it.
Even doing this show, the hours it takes sometimes for the show, I'm always afraid, like, what's someone going to think? I mean, this episode, I'm afraid of what someone's going to think on the outside. I still love Blizzard. They're not perfect. I'm not perfect, so I don't expect them to be perfect, but I still love it. And I'm enjoying Warcraft 3, but I wanted to also kind of direct this from here into what keeps us playing. So I'm generally enjoying Blizzard games, and I know it's been a very rocky road recently, at least in what we remember in our immediate rearview mirror. I have friends who tell me that they are done with Blizzard. I have one friend who, whenever they message me, the same one I talked about earlier, I just get a bunch of games on how X game is better or how Y means Blizzard is doomed. A fact I wanted to pull out of the Activision Blizzard Q4 2019 earnings call. In the fourth quarter of 2019, World of Warcraft had twice the size of its Q2 ending level subs. Now, there's two ways you can look at it. Either Blizzard grew or they went down after the news of the layoffs and they went back up again. So, I mean, it's a two-sided stat, but I think that was interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was quite a telling stat. They did have their fourth quarter earnings call today, and there was, some interesting information in there. I know we're certainly going to talk about it on the next episode of our show, but, for the most part, Warcraft is still a healthy game. I mean, you can say what you want about, I didn't like the cinematic at the end of the latest raid. Like, okay, like, complain about it. I mean, you can do that, but that doesn't mean that the game is ending. That doesn't mean that I remember when people were like, when we get to level 100, the game is gonna have to end. Why does it have to end? Why does it have to end after some arbitrary period of time? Like, I've never quite understood all of the doomsayers that are like, it's got to end, or it's over, or this means it's done, or whatever. In the earnings call that they had today, they straight up said it's Warcraft, I think Overwatch, are keeping the Blizzard half of things afloat because Hearthstone's going down and Diablo's going down, and they didn't mention it, but StarCraft is MIA, Heroes is MIA, so Warcraft is still the jam. You can say what you want, but it's still healthy. And the fact that they doubled their subscribers basically from June to December, a lot of that has to do with Classic. I think that's pretty good. I think that's still a good sign that, there's literally millions of people playing this game. And I think they said there's 35 million active users per month, I think is what they're averaging or something like that. That's about a tenth of the country. So 1 out of every 10 people is playing a Blizzard game in the United States.
I think for my own local people that I know, that adds up because I know people that are like, I play Blizzard. Some that you get I used to play Blizzard and I used to play WoW. You get those. But it means people like, I was at a podcast meetup and I found somebody who plays WoW and I had him as a guest on the show. I mean, it was one of those, you never know who plays WoW, even in a small avenue.
It's true. That's true. And as for Blizzard as a whole, I thought the latest Diablo season has been really fun. So I was working on a character for a little bit. And then we had Azeroth come out. And I've been jamming on that as much as I could. And then Reforged came out and I've been dedicating more time over there. And every once in a while, I still fire up Overwatch or StarCraft or, one of these other games just to jump in and do a quick match or just to see it for old time's sake. I don't know. But I find that I'm still always coming back to that. And I've got plenty of other games to play. I've still got to get through Fallen Order.
Yeah.
I've still got to get through frickin' Wolfenstein, the Youngblood expansion that came out. I've still got Witcher 3 to finish.
Same.
I've got like 4 or 5 other games that I'm right in the middle of that I could totally go off and do. But I'm still in the Blizzard house. And listen, maybe I'm looking at this with my rose-colored glasses on. Maybe I got, a little something extra in this Yeti of mine. I don't know, but I still feel good about it. I'm still having fun. So that's how I'm rolling.
I'm the same way. I'm looking at the games like I've been playing a few games recently, but mainly because I'm playing them with Spaz, because Spaz and I will play games that aren't WoW on Friday and Saturdays. But other than that, I got to go through the Outer Wilds or Outer Worlds. Outer Wilds is also a fun game too. That's the exploration game. I mean, there's a reason I'm still playing WoW games. And I've talked with different people recently, like Jason Lucas of The Starting Zone. He did Project Phoenix Productions. And I kind of want to tonight go over what some of the stuff that we like. Like, I play because I love working on alts, leveling, trying new things. I play for the people I meet. One of the reasons I play this game, because BlizzCon helped me realize this community. I love BlizzCon with the phrase, this is Blizzard. And I wasn't pointing at the employees. They are Blizzard. But the community around it, that is Blizzard. That's one of the things that I left BlizzCon fired up on. Because, like, there are artists who make incredible creations, like Copper, Sir Onion Knight. They're awesome. I just saw another one today, like Fableina. How can Fableina? I think just like will open up the morning and like art will just fly out.
She's unbelievable.
Incredible. And these are for Blizzard, and these are for WoW games.
Yeah, it's incredible. Was that your first BlizzCon?
Yeah, that was my first one, and like my head was on a swivel.
It's like being on a drug that you didn't even know you needed.
And now I have the bank account that is saving money away for the next one. I'm like, I get every paycheck. Go over there. Get on my
If
site.
we have one.
Oh, that is it. And if we don't have one, then I'll just save for next year. That is a very good one. There are those 3 weekends.
It is an unbelievable thing to go to BlizzCon and to be around everyone. And like, if it's kind of something you said at the top, if you ever feel alone about playing Blizzard or playing Blizzard games, even if you don't get into the convention, even if you just go down there when it's happening, like, you know, hang out at Disneyland or just go down there for after parties or whatever else is going on, you will feel that vibe. And it's ridiculous. And I've never felt anything like it anywhere. And I've been to concerts and sporting events and get-togethers all over the place, and I've never experienced anything like that before. And you really do get a sense of what the real community is amongst everybody. And you're like, for better for worse, these are my people. Like, holy shit, like here they are. And to be around them and to be immersed in it and to see all of these personalities, you know, melding together, it is insane. And it's that real life extension to what you may feel like I know I do with my raid team. I mean, we have almost been together as a raid team for 7 years, which is still unbelievable in my mind that we've been able to pull that off, but we've done it. And, you know, some of these people I've met in real life, you know, some of these people are my dear friends. You know, it goes just beyond the game. The game almost kind of becomes a medium at that point. And so I know for myself, when, like, you know, real talk, this period of time right now has been really difficult for me personally because of things going on at my job. Like, it's been super stressful and really crazy. And I'm even shocked I'm able to do this podcast here with you tonight. It's been a nightmare and a half. But for me, I need that 6-8 hours between a couple of nights just to break away and to be somewhere else and to be someone else and to just hang out with my friends and focus on this thing that we're doing. And for me, that's a big reason why I keep playing, because I need that in my life. Beyond the fact that I still enjoy the story. Shoot me. I think they're doing a good job.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, fine. I like what they're doing. I like where we're going. Everybody seems to be a Rhodes Scholar and knows all the story elements. And, well, this doesn't make sense. And, you know, everybody talks about Chekhov's gun like they, you know, we're lit majors. Nope, none of you people know anything except for maybe 5 of you. So we're in no position to judge. It's either you like it or you don't like it. Don't parse it any more than that. You just sound dumb. I like the story. I'm having fun. I don't try to get caught up in too much of the negativity. Yeah, we have a show called Unshackled Fury, and we get a little crazy about stuff from time to time. Most of the time, it's pretty tongue-in-cheek if you're paying attention.
Oh, yeah. I call your show the Screwtape Letters of WoW, because you never know, are you being serious or not being serious?
We do blend the line.
Yes.
And that's part of the gimmick. That's part of our gimmick.
Yeah.
We do.
And I try to look for the positive. I mean, I try to find the stuff. I know people probably thought, oh, Frazley's a shill for Blizzard. And I mean, I call the tagline jokingly, I'm a Blizzard fandom. I mean, of course, like, I see things in a positive light a lot of the ways. And there are people that are like, oh, Blizzard's awful. I mean, and it's like, again, I'm liking it. I'm going to continue giving Blizzard money. I mean, I'll continue enjoying it. But I think a big part of it is the community. A big part of it's tonight. I consider this to be one of my raid nights because I'm raiding with a person talking with you. I mean, that's, I think if I wasn't doing this would actually, it would be one of the pillars that would not keep me in WoW. And this is one of the things that keeps me coming back.
That is the charity server that I bought, and the outside cover of it is broken.
Oh!
The clips inside of it are broken. And they're going to send me a new one at some point. Did I get on the forums and scream about, you know, you bastards, like what you did? No, I went on my show and I said it is disappointing.
Yeah.
But I'm not threatening to sue anybody. The world is on fire.
Yeah.
There is a pandemic going around this globe right now. No matter where you sit on the political aisle, things are a mess.
Oh, yep, 100%.
There are all kinds of social and other issues to spend that kind of energy on.
Yeah.
This isn't one of them. Like, say your piece, do your thing, but being a keyboard warrior about this doesn't help anybody. So, like, you know.
I'm glad that my niece is becoming a political activist, and for causes that she loves, like animals. I'm like, she's putting her energy towards something. And some of the people, I'm like, start a podcast, start a YouTube. Yeah. I mean, do something, because it gets that out there. What I love the charity blade. I'm disappointed that the charity blades got broken, but I love the Pinnacles of Promise, because one of the countries is Guatemala, and I love that it's helping kids in third world countries. I love
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. If I think I'm inconvenienced, and I made a joke about it, about having to wait, like 4 or 5 months for a replacement cover. I don't know what it's like not to know where I'm sleeping tonight, where my food is coming from, whether or not I have clean clothes, if I have a job to go to, where my son is going to be during the day, where my wife is going to be during the day. Are either of them safe? I don't have to worry about any of this stuff. I live in white-ass America. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff, right? There are literally millions of people that do. And, not to get too preachy here, but I mean, that is where I think there is a good place for righteous outrage and energy and all this whipping up of emotion that you want to do. Being mad because Reforged 3, Warcraft 3 Reforged didn't have fully rendered cinematics. I mean, disappointed, be disappointed, bro. But then it's all right. Let's move on. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
Right?
And some of the ones I see, like, don't play the game anymore. I'm like, if you don't play the game anymore, there are 100 games out there you can be part of. Like Tim.
Yeah.
I want to go play Tim, but I don't have the time right now. I want to go play Final Fantasy 14. I mean, if you're absolutely not loving it, there are other games.
Yeah. Or just walk away.
Yeah.
Just walk away. We've said this before, Nav and I, about a couple of folks we've seen in the community that it's like they live off the drama, or they breathe off of having to whip up some kind of perceived slight. And it's like, well, I mean, to an extent, I can get that, because every once in a while I look at something and I go, is that about me? Did I do something? Like, is something going on? And then I'm like, you know what? I got to get over myself and move on.
Yeah. I'm the same way. Subtweets always get my mind going like, what did I do? What did I do? I just got to look away. And
oh yeah, there are definitely members of our community where I'm like, did I do something to piss them off? I mean, it's possible I did, but I gotta wonder.
I always wonder after a tweet, my follower numbers go down. I'm like, what did I do? I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I didn't mean to say that.
That's a brutal one. I was just talking to Nav about that today. There's somebody that stopped following me on Twitter, and I'm like, man, what did I do?
Yeah, what did I do? I'm like oh
shit.
And I try to make this podcast and these streams a positive, good vibe zone. I mean, Jindin said that they hang here for those, and that's my goal. I want people to feel it's an escape from the world. I mean, an escape from all the crap out there, like you said. And
you do a great job.
Thank you. Wow, you're making me blush. Along with this being a positive zone, and I wanted to ask the community, because we warriors like to rage and really get the going.
Get your blood boiling.
Yeah. So, what moments recently has made you have a moment of tranquility? I was asking this on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. And chat, feel free to chime in.
This is from Flame Flash. In-game, WoW isn't a game I really play to zen out to. It's one I play to complete various in-game goals and have fun. Civilization 6, now there's a game that's fantastic for me to zen out with. IRL, when my bed becomes the family bed instead of my babies think they've been sneaky to warm up near me the rest of the night.
Oh, nice. Is Sarge, Ysera, Flagua, and Zig?
You nailed it.
Oh, good. Yes. They said casting tranquility on the raid, and then laughing till I'm crying emoji. I copied that from Leon Lush. That's not my own. Leon Lush is a funny YouTuber. But in seriousness, I find a lot of tranquility and quiet moments with my pets, and in the recent warm, windy winter days. Yeah, pets are just so good. Like my cat Chocolate. Oh, he's just so adorable, and he'll just come over and cuddle while I'm watching a Netflix show, and it just like warms my heart.
All right, next up we have from Allie. Just last night, after running Forge of Souls, I hearthed to Borealis. At night, there is a different Tieragard sound and music that's still in the Pirate on the High Seas theme, but slower and in a lower pitch. This change makes it more relaxing, and I had a moment where I just sat there in the tavern and enjoyed.
just listen to your voice forever. I'm with Allie. I love your dramatic reading. Oh.
That's very true about Bralis, by the way. You can just chill out there all the time.
Yeah.
It's such a great vibe.
And I love the attention to detail that the music's different at night. I mean, that stuff is one of the reasons I love WoW is those small details.
Mm-hmm.
And as Jensen says, Allie's always reminding us to look up. And now, look up and listen. And Tom said, I had an Enya moment last week. It was very zen. Hard eyes. Oh.
Enya.
Oh, their music. Dun, 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 dun.
Feel like I should be getting like a spa treatment.
Yeah. Oh. Stay awake, stay awake, stay awake.
Squeeze out those pores.
Yes.
Facial peel.
If I could play the music right now without getting in trouble, I would, but I can't.
Yeah, we don't want to get you banned.
No.
All right, next up we have from Syl. When I started sketching again and realized how at peace it made me feel for a few hours. Few hours? Damn, good for you.
Yeah. Oh.
I wish I could get a few hours. That'd be amazing. I think a few hours is when I just black out and then wake up again in the morning. That's a real good thing to be able to do is when you either pick up or rediscover something that you do or something that you can do, and it brings you like that center or that place of focus again. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Editing Gnome here with an addition from Dwarven Kitchen. They said that when I realized that a trip to Shadowlands was more likely than my retirement plan.
So I did have a very specific moment of zen, and it was just the other day when I was taking a griffin ride from old Dalaran, Wrath of the Lich King era, across Northrend. And I had to fly over to the Nexus to do a Heart of Azeroth quest. And, I hadn't been out there in a long time. And so just taking everything off the screen, so it's just, no UI, it's just the screen itself. And just listening to the music out there in Crystal Song, and then going into, the Dragon Blight, and going out to Borean Tundra, and just seeing like the Northern Lights and the beautiful sky, and you're just kind of floating through the air, and it's, memories of all those good times. And it was a real nice, 5-minute moment of zen where and I've got this big stupid monitor, and so I'm just like, yeah, man, like this is great. I'm just gonna ride this, and I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna watch it unfold. And oh, that's where I left my Death Knight for a year in that inn. Oh man, I remember doing a quest over there. Oh, there's some dragons. This is great.
Nice. And see, that's why I think sometimes we need to take those Wind Rider Masters or those Griffin Masters more, because auto run, I think we do ourselves a service because we're always trying to stay focused. At least with those, you will end up at your destination and you'll enjoy the ride.
Yeah. It's just like life, man. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
That's it. How about you? What was your moment of zen?
I kind of find my moments are either in the walking, and I haven't been able to do that a lot recently because of the snow and the weather and time. But the other one I do is when I'm editing this show, I kind of shut off the world for a bit. I put on some smooth jazz or piano, so I'll play that in the background. And you just kind of, it's so nice. You're listening, you're hearing the guest and you talking, and you're just like editing, but you can turn off Discord, you can turn off all these things for a little while, and you have an excuse to be like, why I did not get back to you for 5 hours that one day, because I'm editing to try to get this thing out to you. And that's my moment of tranquility. Very outgoing, but I need my moments of internal shutdown.
You got to have you time.
Yeah.
This is very important, and this is to all you people in a relationship out there. I'm going to give you some a nickel's worth of free relationship advice here. Alone time is valuable whether you're with somebody or not. You have to have time for yourself, and however you spend that time, well, that's up to you, and you can do that in a few ways, but never, ever lose sight of the fact you always need a little time for you, and take that time. It's important for you. It's important for other people, too. So just throwing that one out there for free.
Nice. Tonight we raged and we zenned. We gave out relationship advice, gave out podcasting advice. It's been a great night. I've enjoyed having you here, Berzerker.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and certainly was tonight as well.
And where can we find you on the interwebs?
So you can find me on Twitter at Berzerker Rage. You can find our show. Navox and I have a podcast called Unshackled Fury at...
You?
Yeah, well...
Oh, wow. I got to listen to this.
It's a rumor. There's a rumor there's a show. It is at Unshackled_Fury, and where you can download the show, all these various places except for Pandora because they won't answer my emails and I don't know why. But you can also find Nav at NAV_OX. So those 3 locations, you can find us and our show, and highly encourage you to dial us up and follow us and subscribe and listen and give us reviews and tell us we're good or tell us we're crap. I don't know. Come on board. Check us out. We just had a new episode come out just this past week, a few days ago. Where we're talking about Race to World First and Warcraft 3 and, Nav's raging on how the cloak system's working. So it's a grand old time. So come on in, check us out.
And I agree with Torloff, the Berserker. You're one hell of an awesome man. And Jen just said I could listen to Berserker talk all night long. So soothing.
Oh,
and I'm with you.
Thank you.
Oh.
Thank you. I'm available for parties.
Activating customized Orca transporter.
Well, I am back at my home of Ironforge until we one day reclaim Gnomeregan!
Wow, I'm a gnome.
Let's look at what has been happening in the community.
Awesome! Let's do that! So Complexity Limit has won the Nyalotha race for World First! Congratulations to the team for an amazing job! And we have some very exciting news. This, who I talked with back in episode 112, as well as back in episode 130 with Pat Crane. Well, this has just announced she is starting a job at Blizzard as Associate Content Manager for Warcraft Esports. Hooray! She'll be starting her job the day this episode airs. This, I can't explain in words how excited I am for you to be getting this job that you've wanted for such a long time. Way to go, my friend! This is joining the many people I know who started making content for Blizzard games and ended up being hired by Blizzard. Karen Gregory and Hannah Straw are 2 others that I know, and I like to watch what people in our community do to kind of see those rising stars, those potential new hires. And Icy Veins reports on a live-action short film by Chris Fennell called War on Lordaeron. The description is, Stormwind has fallen. The Horde is now reaching the northern kingdoms of Azeroth. Lordaeron is the last chance for a new alliance to stand and fight back the invasion. And when it is your birthday, sometimes people will invade you with love. Well, Bex has done this with a heartwarming portrait of Frosty's fox. It looks amazing, Bex. I've got a link in the show notes to this and the other things that I've talked about in this from the community section. Fine art grapples my senses, and 1221 has an amazing fan art entitled It's a Leap of Faith of the grappling hook. From the thread on Twitter, they got inspired by the Spider-Verse, and I can totally see it. And I love when new podcasts spring into action like Spider-Man slinging through the streets. Well, Lucas has created Cardicay Valley and has released episode 1. This is a World of Warcraft fan podcast, and it's exciting to see where this goes. Give them a listen. They're working on episode 2, and I love supporting new people in this community. This community is an inclusive one, and we are all just fans podcasting on what we love. Hey Lucas, feel free to ask me or anyone in this community for guidance anytime you need. I don't know everything, but I'm always willing to help. I always hope that something that I've learned will help propel you forward. And finally, Trade Skill Master add-on and Gumdrops sent Blizzard a care package of donuts, a mythic chest of coins, and a handwritten note. Jeff Liu, the WoW UI designer, tweeted a note of thanks. I love seeing our community show the devs' appreciation for the hard work that they do.
This has been another awesome episode of FrazlCast. Take it away, Frazzlepants.
Thank you, Scruffy. Well, shout out to my great friend Rhett Pele Jill, who you've heard sing their heart out on this podcast before. Well, she recommended FrazlCast to Char, who was looking for a new podcast to listen to. Word of mouth like this helps so much. A shout out to one of my best friends, Spaz Wesson, who I hope knows that when he hears this, that he knows how much I value the friendship that we've built. Spaz and I stream Fridays and Saturday evenings. Well, his Saturday and Sunday mornings. Time zone. Ugh. And it's always a fun time. He regularly listens and he comments to the show and comments on what he hears, which is an honor, as I listened to him on Reigns of Azeroth before I started podcasting. Spaz just got affiliate, and I am incredibly excited to see this. Soon, when Twitch gives us squad streaming, we'll be able to stream simultaneously, and you can switch between our streams straight from the Twitch interface. A shout out to Dracoris, who listened to episode 20 of Scrubs vs. the World, where I talked with Sai about podcasting. Thank you for listening to that episode. A shout out to Rig and Cuffy, who have been listening and also hopping into chat to keep giving me laughs and making my day when they join in. Well, and Rig and Cuffy, I've been using my Bean Boozled jelly beans. I've had boogers, I've had stinky socks. Oh, and I even had barf recently. And Renata got her Brie Awesome mug that she won from the Trivia with Emma, and she posted a picture along with a bottle of whiskey for the inaugural drink. And shout out to Dwarven Kitchen, who posted on Facebook that they discovered FrazlCast. They said great job and that I've got a regular listener. Thank you, Dwarven Kitchen. I want you to check them out. They are on YouTube, and their description is, the only channel run by a real-life Dwarven chef, gives you the chance to learn culinary arts of small but fierce warriors of great underground kingdoms. In every episode, in addition to thanking those who have given me support through encouragement, I also like to thank those who have given back to this show financially. Thank you to my Twitch subs out there. Thank you to Burkhart, Capo, Crunk, Harlow, Jendon, Lucas of Kardake Valley, Michael of the Genome Project, Nihar, Odikins, Pandagosa, Pete of Project Phoenix Productions, Razarus, Rig of Charactercraft, Telleroyd, Thorn the Lagging Balls, Felicia, and Zorts the Goblin. And thank you to Capo for the bits this week. If you want to support this show financially, just like those awesome people that I talked about, please go to support.gnomepodcast.com. Mr. Scruffy has made one of my favorite pieces of music ever. Have a listen.
When a humble dwarf graced a ride along with Frazley of Gnome Ragetraiin, along came this song. From when the feed goes live, the cobalt-haired wonder, his army of subs, at his height they did ponder. They filled up the chat with comments and emotes. Our hero could barely keep up with what they wrote, while his novel hat fit his head like a glove. And so cried our Frazley, thanks for the sub. Toss a sub to your Twitcher and help him make money. Cheer bits by the 20. Oh. Toss a sub to your Twitcher with Prime, do it monthly.
Well, I am Frazley, and you can find the show at gnomepodcast.com. There you can catch past episodes and find out many of the places where you can subscribe to this show. Well, until next week, be awesome.
Welcome to the Fraz Report, a short podcast about the world of Warcraft. I'm not Frazley. I am Maiden Oilybadge, the new Mechagnome correspondent for the Fraz Report. We determined that to continue the factual reporting of this program, that we need Frazley for the gnomes, and I, Maiden, for the Mechagnomes. I have studied years and years on reporting and bringing in the most factual news possible. So don't worry. This program's fine credibility will remain. Some players have gone through the Mechagnome Unlock scenario and learned the Mechagnomes and Gnomes united to re-elect Mechatork as leader of the Gnomes, but it has come to light that there may have been some interference by those vile Zephyr Gnomes, those enemies that have taken over Novergon and still refuse to let us go home. There are two caucuses, one in Ironforge for the Gnomes and one in Mechagon for the Mechagnomes. There was an app that people downloaded to register their vote, but many delegates had issues with this app, some getting errors and others being shown Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. Oh, and some rumors that some even got the music video for Justin Bieber's Yummy. Oh, that is not a delicious surprise. And when one of the candidates brought in a case of oil at the Mechagnome caucus, some feared that all bets were lost. So the in-game cutscenes declared Mechatork the winner, but our sources have said some delegates in either caucus had no clue who they were voting for. One gnome was recorded afterwards saying the following.
I couldn't believe that the delegate didn't even know who Mechatork was.
At this time, it sounds like Mechatork will remain as leader of the gnomes, but his approval rating has seriously diminished with the reveal of this news. We will keep you updated on any future updates. Well, until next time, consider an upgrade. FrazlCast is a fan podcast that covers Blizzard games. We are not affiliated with Blizzard Entertainment, Inc. Views expressed by the hosts and guests are their own. Some of the art, music, and sound effects come from Blizzard Games, and they are owned by Blizzard Entertainment, Inc. No copyright infringement is intended. This show is for the community, and it contains contributions from the community. The Gnome Train Intro is by Allie of Dungeon Fables and All Things Azeroth. The opening music is by Brandon T. Blaylock. The Gnome Roar is by Jen of Morally Grey Podcast. And the Frazzlepants bumper at the end is by the Scruffy Druid of Loot Optional and Viral Voice Arts.
This show is brought to you by Dragon Powered Studio. Find more at dragonpoweredstudio.com.
It's been fun. Farewell!